If you need to bleed your brake lines, it's because of one of two reasons. One, you've got air in the system when flushing the brake fluid, or you've dismantled the system to clean your calipers or replace a line. In either case, bleeding your brake lines is for the purpose of removing air pockets out of the system. In this video, we'll show you how to bleed your brake lines using a hand vacuum pump. Tools you'll need are a wrench, a hand vacuum pump and brake bleeding kit, brake fluid. A brake bleeding kit will include a hand vacuum pump, hoses, a reservoir bottle and adapters to fit onto the bleed valve of your calipers. We're using a model from Bike Service which, in addition to being able to bleed brake lines, can be used for other jobs such as testing mechanical fuel pumps, the engine condition and vacuum solenoids. For the purpose of this video, we're operating on a line that has no fluid at all, but the same principles will work for a line with fluid inside but with air pockets present. Open your brake fluid reservoir and remove the cap and diaphragm. Fill the reservoir to the top. To start circulating fluid through the empty lines, pump the brake lever gently and slowly. You'll start noticing the reservoir levels drop. Keep doing this until you start to feel resistance on the brake lever. Top the fluid up again. Now take the rubber cap off the bleed valve and open it with a wrench. For now, tighten it back by hand. Find the correct adapter that will fit over the bleed valve and then attach some clear hose to it. Run this clear hose to your kit's reservoir and then attach a hose to it and connect the hand vacuum pump. Now place the open connection and put it on the bleed valve. When we open the bleed valve, we're going to do it by hand, so a trick to ensure the hose doesn't come off is to position it so that when you open the valve, the hose hangs down and doesn't twist. Take your vacuum pump and pump it about 10 times. If you've connected everything correctly, your vacuum pump gauge will show a steady reading. Open your bleed valve and keep pumping the pressure gauge. Your brake fluid will now start to come out. Try and maintain a vacuum of about 21 inches of mercury to keep the fluid coming out at a steady pace. All the while, keep an eye on your brake reservoir. It's critical that it isn't sucked dry because then you'll just be introducing air into the system again. As soon as the reservoir starts getting close to the lower level indicator, close your bleed valve by hand. Depending on the volume that your brake lines and brake reservoir hold, you might only be able to have the bleed valve open for a few seconds before needing to close it again. Repeat this exercise 1 or 2 more times to ensure you suck all the air out of the system. Test the brakes too. You should feel slight resistance when engaging them, and the brake pad should return away from the disc when the lever is released. Another thing to keep in mind is to never let the bleed kit reservoir overflow. If it does, you'll start sucking brake fluid into your vacuum pump. Once satisfied that you've extracted all the air from the system, tighten the bleed valve up with a wrench, replace the rubber cap, and then put both the diaphragm and cap back on the brake reservoir.